Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on wherever you are in the world. And welcome to this episode of Zero to Freedom Show. I'm super excited because today we got Amanda Holmes, who's the CEO of Chet Holmes International, which has worked with over 250K by business worldwide. And at the age of 24, she inherited her father's multi-million dollar enterprise, which specialized in helping companies double their sales. I'm very happy because I also just finished reading her book yesterday on my way back from Tenerife. And I love it because it's not just about business, it's also about how to have a rich life. So without any further ado, I'm gonna bring on Amanda Holmes. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you, Bruno. So happy to be here.
Such a pleasure to have you here. I'm really happy to have you here.
Wonderful.
So I actually have some personal question because, as I said, I just finished reading your book, and I'm so curious. And my first question is, when you start talking about your bio in the book, you
Mm.
describe yourself as a business coach, but also as a spiritual guide, because you had yourself a spiritual guide who helped you in this journey. Is that correct?
Yes, I have a teacher. Yeah,
Yes.
spiritual
I
teacher.
want to know more about that because I always wanted to combine the business side with the spiritual side. And it looked like you've done that really well in your book.
Oh,
So
thank you.
definitely want to hear more about that.
Well, it was mostly in the final chapter, and the final chapter took me 94 versions. I counted how many
Wow.
different versions I wrote, and
Wow.
yeah, in total 94. So it was not easy and effortless as it may have read. It took a lot of work to get to that place.
I bet. I bet
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also
Any
because
specific question? Okay.
was short but was actually very powerful because the
Mhm.
title was How to Live a Rich and
Full
Purpose Life
life.
and Full
Yeah.
Life, yes, which goes really well with the life of a business owner because they're very stressful. So if you can summarize the biggest learning from this last chapter, what do you say?
Mm. So, as I was finishing the new edition for the publisher, Penguin, I was in this hotel room, and because my father passed, I didn't get instruction from him on his business or how his business ran. The really only instruction I really got was reading his emails. So I was going through his emails and I was trying to find something that I could put into the new edition of the book, searching for it, and I finally came across this letter that he had written to one of his very dear friends, where he said that he generated more wealth in 6 months than the prior 8 years combined, and it was because of this one thing. And I was so amazed. I let the publisher know that morning that I wanted to add this in because this would be so magical. It took me another 2 years. I didn't think it would take
Wow.
me so long, but another 2 years to finish that chapter because it may be the last chapter and the encore my father never got to give. But for me, it was my first chapter. So it was this blend of sharing my father's realizations that he had right before he passed and how they affected my life over the last 10 years since he has, and how that affected the way that I look at business and the way that I operate, and really the way that sales can be today, because 97% of our prospects feel that salespeople are too pushy. So
Yeah.
we're in this world, right, where we're so used to Amazon has taught our consumers to go online and purchase without the need for a salesperson. So over the last 10 years, 15 years, we've become so adverse to being pushed that we don't want to be pushed anymore. And I had this moment where, so I study under an Indian saint. Her name is Sarva Lokama, Her Holiness Shri 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 1008 Guruji Punamji. But I just call her Guruji. She's the founder of, yeah, it
Easier.
is fairly long. She's the founder of Divine Bliss. So I I saw her after a webinar that I had done, because one of the first things I did when I took over the business was I changed the way that we market and sold, and I started doing one-to-many webinars. So I'd have 400 CEOs on a call, all double if not triple my age, and here I am, this is how you double your sales, and then I'm selling our services on the back end. And I had this one webinar where I really didn't sell a lot, and I was rather down about it. And I came in and I saw my Guruji, and she looked at me and she said, "Something's wrong. What's wrong?" And I said, "Oh, nothing's wrong." She's like, "No, I'm pretty sure something's wrong." And I said, "Well, I just ran a webinar and I didn't really close much business." And she looked at me, and she's an enlightened saint, so obviously she doesn't understand the vernacular of a sales
Yeah.
webinar. So she's like, what do you mean close? And I'm like, to close a sale, it's like you close like a vice. And she was shocked by this response, and she said, why would you ever want to close and put pressure? It puts pressure on you, and it puts pressure on the person you're speaking to. Why wouldn't you want to plant a seed in the ground and let it grow and bloom a tree that has so much an abundance of fruit that then you could create an orchard? And
Mm.
that shift in mentality was huge for me, and it actually assisted. After that, everything just kind of clicked, and our we increased our leads by 1100% or 1176%, increased our conversion rates by 1100%, and doubled our clients multiple years in a row. And since then I've carried that on. But that one particular campaign did amazing after there was just that shift of belief system and the intention in which I came to those opportunities to serve instead of sell.
Wow. That's powerful. And I like how you say that, it's just a little switch in the intention. Just changing that intention that instead of closing is serving and made a massive difference, not only in stress, but also in results. That's super
Yes,
powerful. Super powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
absolutely.
And I went directly to that question because that was a question for me after reading the book. But now we can step back. And for people who don't know you, you were actually a songwriter before becoming the CEO, right?
I was.
So
Yes.
how was the journey of going from a songwriter to become the CEO of a eight-figure company?
Yeah, terrifying, terrible, awful. uh, no, I didn't have the skill set to know what to do, and I didn't have the tools. And when my father got diagnosed with cancer, we had a year and a half where he was in the hospital, and he didn't spend one night alone. It was 382 nights in the hospital he spent, and it was between me, my mom, and my brother. So I easily spent 100 all-nighters in the hospital with him, and never once did he sit me down and say, "Amanda, here's my businesses. Here's who runs my businesses. This is what I'd like to see from my businesses." We never had those dialogues or those talks. So
Yeah.
to then him passing, I was very close with him. We had the same birthday, so our birthday's coming up in about 2 weeks' time, February
Oh,
13th. I
wow.
was born on his birthday. Yeah. And to just trying to grasp losing my hero and the person,
Of
that I was
course.
so close to, and then having a couple hundred staff was rather terrifying. And yeah, I couldn't really eat because my stomach was in so many knots. Like the thought of even trying to eat food, I would start to get nauseated. I had nightmares of my father's face in the hospital. I mean, if you've ever, I hope you haven't, but maybe some have experienced the loss of where somebody's mortality, where they recognize that they're not going to live through what they're going through, and those images of my father's face just haunted me for years afterwards. And yeah, I had perpetual panic attacks. It was just like I could never catch my breath all day long because I had so much panic. So that's why I really say it took twofold. One, it took getting my mental game in place, the emotional intelligence, which is what I got from my guru, of just getting through
Mm.
like the limiting beliefs that I couldn't solve any of these problems. I didn't have the background, I didn't get the training, all of these things. And then also I used my father's frameworks to carry forward. So when I could get my mindset right, then I just followed what I read the book over and over and over again. I watched his videos over and over and over again. So I became a student of what he taught. And that's what assisted us to be here today. It's nearly a miracle that we're here. It shouldn't have happened. Yeah. Yes.
Wow, what a fantastic story. So, just to get something that could help coaches and consultants that are struggling, that maybe they're in the situation where they don't know what to do, how would you recommend them to address a situation that they don't have the answer to or they don't know how to manage?
Mhm. Well, if we're talking to coaches, I think sadly, this probably won't make me the favorite in the room, but a lot of the time we have coaches that try to become coaches for people that they've never done the work that they're trying to coach on. And that's a gray area for me. I find that to be a little bit sad. When you say that, that's the first thing that pops up for me is, oh, can you, if you're if you're trying to get great at something, find a mentor and learn under them and become great at it, and then you can coach and train others to do what you've already trained on, right? Like me, when I first stepped in, I couldn't be the coach. I could be a salesperson, and I sold all day long, and I had other people fulfill, and my coaches and my consultants were doing the coaching and consulting until I had enough, a decade under my belt to start being able to be a coach because I'd done the work myself. Um, but then I'd also say that when you're faced with obstacles that you don't know how to overcome, the best thing that helped me was being in the intention, going back to the intention of I am here to serve whoever is in front of me, right? And their success is my success. So how can I best serve them? And I would meditate on that when I would get really stuck. I would meditate on how do I best serve these people? And then answers would come from within me. I mean, obviously, you can go outside of yourself and you can research and you can find lots of answers online, but ultimately it has to come within you. So I think that's a critical piece. I hate the like fake it to make it mentality. If
Yeah.
you're doing that, you should be of integrity. If you've done that before, then that's great. That's that's what you should assist with.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned again serving. So this is the second time
Yeah.
that serve comes into place, just to show
Mm,
how important that is.
mm,
Now, I got one of my favorite questions ready for you. It's actually two questions
mm.
because the Dream 100, which is a method that basically your father invented, is
Yes.
easier when you have, some authorities, a name, an audience. So my two questions are, one, how would you explain the Dream 100 to a beginner coach who doesn't know what that is? And two, how can someone use the Dream 100 without having a name, an experience, or any following?
Yeah. So the Dream 100 concept was started by my father when he was working for a billionaire by the name of Charlie Munger, co-chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. And the concept is very simple. If for those that are listening, you can write this down right now. There are always a smaller number of better buyers than there are all buyers. That means that marketing and selling to them is cheaper than marketing and selling to all buyers. So many coaches may feel, oh, I just need to put up a funnel online. I need to put up my ClickFunnels page and start running traffic to this page. And, that'll get me a bunch of leads. And then I'll nurture those leads and those will turn into clients. Well, the Dream 100 is a little bit different. It's more about reverse engineering and finding those that are your perfect ideal clients that would be raving fans of you, that are actually in pain because you're not there, and identifying who they are, and then going from I've never heard of you to oh yeah, I've heard of you to oh, I know that person, to yes, we've met and we've discussed, or yes, we work together and I'm a raving fan. And the way to do that is to truly be in their face, in their place, in their space. That's what my father called it, in their face, in their place, in their space. So he did this he was given a list of 2,200 advertisers or potential prospects. And they said, okay, go cold call these 2,200. And he said, that's a lot of work. So when he researched the 2,200, he realized that 95% of the purchasing power came from only 167. So instead of going after 2,200, he led an intensive Dream 100 effort to those Dream 167. Now, as the decades have gone on, so he doubled sales for that division in 6 months, then again in 1 year, and then year after that, and in 9 different divisions. So you can imagine it was a great success. Even Charlie Munger himself, a billionaire, said, Chet, I've never seen anybody double sales 3 years in a row. You're sure we're not lying, cheating, or stealing?
Impressive, yeah.
Yeah, so the difference is, so I'll tell you right now that 80% of sales reps give up after just 3 contacts to try and get a prospect. This, you have to have pig-headed discipline and determination to follow up with them over and over and over and over again. But keep in mind that you want to be the bright spot in their day. You want to add value to them. So my father back then was sending them a direct mail piece twice a month, following up with a phone call twice a month, following up with an email, maybe even a fax, because at that time I was faxing. Today I teach a lot more about how you can do this online too with social media, just social listening. And whenever they post, you post a comment about what they're posting, you share their posts, you show that you're engaged and that you're interested in them. So there's many different ways that you can grab the attention of a Dream 100. The whole point today is you want to be everywhere to them. You could even have a target 12. It doesn't have to be 100. Pick 12 where you will be in their inbox, in their voicemails, in their text messages, at their front door, in their ads, right? Everywhere. You seemingly are everywhere to them. They're like, wow, this person is everywhere. I have to talk to them, right? But you're really only everywhere to 12 people or 50 people or 100 people. So it's cheaper because you're hyper-focused. And then because you're hyper-focused, you can get very specific in messaging to them, which helps because the clutter factor is through the roof today. My father used to say, your average prospect sees 40,000 commercial messages a day. Today, we have 3.8 billion social media posts. There are social media pages that are posting every single day, right? There's so much content online that to break through that clutter, 15 years ago, you would have to see 7 different ads before they remember your company. Today, it's 500. They have to see your ad 500 times before they remember it because there's so much information. So to really cut through that clutter, you need to know who you're reaching out to. And that target 12, that Dream 100 is critical. It is the fastest, least expensive way to double sales. This one strategy has doubled the sales of more companies than any other. It's just getting hyper-focused on who. Then you have to lead with an education, a message that grabs their attention amidst all of that clutter.
Love it. Very practical, very useful. And again, I agree. One of the best strategies to double the sales. And just to make sure that I want to make sure that coaches following us have an actual practical thing to follow. How would you recommend about building the Dream 100? How would you suggest a coach or a consultant to start in terms of building the Dream 100 list?
Well, I would go into chapter 6 on this because I go into more detail. There are many different ways. So if you already have a following or if you have clients, I would go back to your past clients and pull up all the clients you've ever had, or in the last 2 years. It depends on how many clients you've had. I don't know how many that is. And then list them by those that have spent the most with you. So the most that they've spent with you to the least. And then you analyze the top 20% of those clients and realize, okay, where did those clients come from? What is similar about these clients? Did they all come from my church? Did these all come from this Facebook group? Did these all come from a referral that I didn't even think about? Wow, this referral person is amazing. They're giving me great business, right? Where do they spend their time? Do you have similarities in the way that you think or your core values? I would first start by analyzing those that you resonate with the best and those that have gotten the best results with you, because that will help you determine who you want to work with in the future. And then building that list, oh my gosh, there's 47 different steps that we recommend to build that list so that it's truly ironclad. I mean, my book launch, we hit the bestseller list in 3 different categories. We sold out our book. We sold out of the stock of the book 2 times over before the book even released. And
Wow.
I only had a target 17.
70. Wow.
17, 1 7.
17.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible. That is incredible. And that is a massive lesson for everyone. It's not about quantity, but the quality of the people that you're targeting in the Dream 100. So I love
Yes.
that. Awesome, Amanda. That was super, super powerful. And if people want to be part of your world, where is the best place to go and find more about you?
Yeah. You can. I spend most of my time on Instagram. So if you're ever on Instagram, it's not Amanda Holmes, it's Amandita Holmes, because I had to take my salsa name because Amanda Holmes was taken. And if you want more education about how to double your sales, you can go to chetholmes.com and go ahead and fill out the survey on what's holding you back from doubling your sales in the next 12 months. And there'll be a ton of education there.
Awesome. Love it. Lot of value. I will go there myself as well.
Great.
Thank you very much. It was
Thank you,
super,
Bruno.
super powerful interview. And thank you everyone for watching this episode of Zero to Freedom. And I'll see you to the next one. Thank you again, Amanda. It was really a pleasure to have you here.
Absolutely.